Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been going through your loose change, minding your business, and then, boom, there it is, a coin that you had no idea was worth a small fortune? Yeah, I know. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, get ready to have your mind blown because today we're talking about a 1982 penny. Yep, that's right, a penny, but not just any penny. We're talking about the legendary, the mysterious, the crazy valuable 1982 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, which, hold on to your hats, could be worth up to $2 million. Now, I know you're probably thinking, that's some kind of wild coin collector fantasy. But trust me, this is real. And by the end of this video, you might just find yourself checking your penny jar to see if you've got one of these hidden gems. So, if you're ready for a crash course in coin collecting and a dash of humor, stick around. Because today we're diving into the world of rare pennies and what makes this 1982 no-mint mark penny worth so much money. Grab your coffee, kick back, and let's get started. Alright, so what makes this 1982 penny so special? And more importantly, how in the world does a small copper coin end up with a price tag like $2 million? Well, let's start with the basics. Back in 1982, the US Mint was having a bit of a whoops moment. They were transitioning from using 95% copper in pennies to a zinc core with just a thin layer of copper on top. So, they made both copper and zinc versions of the penny that year. And while most of the 1982 pennies had a mint mark, that little D for Denver or S for San Francisco, a few coins slipped through the cracks without any mint mark at all. Now, imagine you're a coin collector back in the 80s. You're flipping through pennies and, oh look, there's one from 1982 with no mint mark. You might think, that's weird, and toss it aside, thinking it's just another oddball penny. But little did you know that no mint mark penny could have been one of the rare ones that survived the minting process without a mark, making it worth a small fortune today. A couple of years ago, a guy went through his coin jar, like we all do, and pulled out a handful of pennies. Nothing out of the ordinary. But then, bam, he spotted a 1982 penny with no mint mark. Now, I don't know about you, but when I find a penny, I don't immediately think, this could be my ticket to millions. But this guy did. After some research and a lot of excitement, probably some jumping around too, he sold that penny for, wait for it, $2 million. That's right, a coin that most people would toss into their change jar is now worth more than the average house. So, what happened here? Well, those no mint mark pennies are incredibly rare. So rare that they're practically a treasure. You might be wondering, why is this penny so valuable? Well, it's all about rarity and demand. When the minting error happened, only a small number of these pennies escaped the mint without a mint mark, which makes them super rare. Add to that the fact that coin collectors and investors are always on the lookout for rare items, and suddenly, a coin worth 1 cent could be worth millions. The world of coin collecting is wild, my friends. Now, let me tell you a little story from my own life. A while ago, I went to a local coin show. I'm not a huge collector, but I love learning about coins and seeing what I might have missed. There were vendors everywhere, booths filled with coins from all over the world, and the atmosphere was electric with excitement. One guy, let's call him Bob, had a table stacked with pennies. Old pennies, new pennies. Some looked shiny. Some were worn down like they had been through 100 laundromats. I was casually flipping through them, thinking, nothing special here, when I noticed something strange, a 1982 penny that looked a little off. I wasn't quite sure what was wrong, but I just had a feeling. I asked Bob, hey, what's the deal with this 1982 penny? He gave me a little smirk and said, that's a no mint mark. A good one if you're into rare coins. At that point, I was kind of thinking, well, I'll just buy it for a few bucks and see what happens. Fast forward to the present day, and I've got that penny sitting in my collection, worth way more than I paid for it, thanks to the wonders of the coin world. So, moral of the story? Never underestimate the power of a penny, because you never know when it could turn into something worth way more than you ever imagined. So, now that you know all about the legendary 1982 no mint mark penny, I hope you'll take a second to look through your spare change. You never know what might be hiding in there. Remember, the value of a coin isn't always about how it looks. It's about its rarity, its history, and its place in the world of collectors. That one penny you've got stashed away could be the next big find. Before you head out to go check your penny jar or your grandma's old coin collection, do me a favor. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about rare coins, tips for finding valuable treasures, and strategies for starting your own coin collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on all the awesome tips we've got coming up. And hey, maybe we'll even find the next $2 million penny together. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your coin hunts. Who knows, maybe you're sitting on a gold mine or, well, a copper mine right now. Have you ever stared at your pocket change and thought, what if this tiny copper coin is actually worth a fortune? Well, hold on to your seats, because today, I'm about to blow your mind with a story about a penny. A 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny, to be exact, that is currently worth a jaw-dropping $2.1 million. Yeah, you heard that right. $2.1 million. And it's not some rare gold coin or something crazy like that. It's a regular penny, well, a regular penny, with a twist. So if you're sitting there thinking, I've got a jar of pennies somewhere, you better grab it and start searching. This might just be your ticket to a mansion by the beach, or, at the very least, a new shiny coin collection. All right, let's dive into this crazy coin mystery, and who knows, by the end of this video, you might be rummaging through your couch cushions thinking you've got a hidden treasure. First things first, let's talk about this penny. The 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny. Most of us have seen these pennies. You know, the ones with Honest Abe's face staring at you with that classic, I'm thinking about freeing slaves look. But here's the thing. Most of them are worth exactly 1 cent. It's not like you're going to get rich off your usual stash of these. But in 1976, there was a crazy little printing mistake that led to a very, very rare coin. A coin that didn't have a mint mark. Normally, on the back of a coin, right under the date, you'll see a little letter. It's a mint mark, indicating where the coin was made. D means Denver. S means San Francisco. But there's one little problem here. In 1976, the U.S. Mint accidentally released some pennies without any mint mark at all. Now, this little error is huge in the coin world. You see, most collectors go wild for mistakes like this. It's like the oopsie of all oopsies. This specific penny is crazy rare, and it's the one that's selling for millions. Yes, plural. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are like me, and you have that drawer full of old coins, right? I used to just toss pennies in there, thinking they weren't worth anything. Well, guess who feels silly now? But hey, we live and we learn. I've learned the hard way that one person's junk is another person's treasure. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how did this penny end up being worth so much? Well, here's the scoop. It all starts with the rarity factor. Only a handful of these no-mint mark 1976 pennies were made, and it wasn't until years later that collectors really started noticing them. In fact, it wasn't until a penny like this sold for a massive amount, like crazy amount, that the world went, wait, that's a thing? In 2018, one of these bad boys was sold for $2.1 million. Yeah, you could buy a nice house with that kind of cash. Or, if you're feeling extra fancy, you could buy a mansion with a pool shaped like a coin. You know, priorities. Host laughs and then gets serious for a second. But here's where it gets wild. If you're thinking about running to the nearest pawn shop with your pennies, hold your horses. Not every 1976 penny is going to make you a millionaire. The condition has to be near perfect, which, let's be real, is tough to find in your spare change drawer. But there is still hope. If you happen to have one of these mint-less pennies that's in great condition, you could be sitting on something worth thousands, not just pennies. So how do you even know if you've got one of these magical pennies hiding in your collection? Well, it's all about the details. First, you need to make sure the penny is from 1976. That's step one. Then, check the back. Look right under the date for a mint mark. If there's nothing there, boom, you've got yourself a rare coin. All right, I'll be honest. You're probably going to need some serious magnification to spot this thing. If your penny looks like it came out of a washing machine, hey, I'm not judging, we've all been there. It's not going to be worth millions. But if it's in really great condition, you might just have something. So, there you have it, folks. The story of the 1976 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that went from being a regular, humble penny to a multi-million-dollar gem. It's a perfect reminder that treasures can hide in the most unexpected places, whether it's in your couch cushions, your junk drawer, or your old change jar. Host leans forward, a bit conspiratorially. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've got to check my pennies right now. And hey, I can't blame you. I'd be diving into my stash too if I were you. But hey, if you want more tips on how to find coins worth money, or maybe even the next big discovery that'll change your life, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Who knows? The next coin we talk about could be worth even more. And if you've got any cool coin stories or want to share if you found something valuable, drop it in the comments below. I love hearing about your finds. Alright, imagine this. You're at the grocery store, reaching into your pocket, and you pull out a random penny. You chuck it into your pocket and forget about it. But what if I told you that little penny could be worth $2.20 million? I mean, it's just a coin, right? Well, turns out that little penny for your thoughts might be worth more than all your thoughts combined. So stick around, because today we're diving into the mind-blowing world of the 2006 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yep, you heard me right. It's that penny you might have tossed in your coin jar. Let's go. First off, let's start with some basic coin knowledge, just so we're all on the same page. The 2006 mint mark penny is just like any other penny. Small, copperish in color, with Abraham Lincoln on the front. What sets it apart, though, is the mint mark. You see, every penny that's made in the US has a mint mark that tells you where it was made, like a little signature that says, "I'm from here." The D mint mark means this penny was minted in Denver, Colorado. Now, you might be thinking, great, cool, but what's so special about this one? Well, buckle up, my friend, because this is where things get interesting. In 2006, the US Mint produced billions of pennies. So how did this one penny, with a simple D mint mark, catch the attention of collectors and numismatists everywhere? The answer: an error. Yep, there was a minting error, and that error is what might just be sitting in your jar right now. The 2006 D penny is rare due to a small number of them being made with an incorrect design. Basically, a very small batch of these pennies was struck with a double die, which means the image of Lincoln on the front of the coin was doubled up. It's like Lincoln decided to show up to work twice that day. It's a double strike, and that little quirk can drive collectors insane. In the best way possible. The more errors a coin has, the more valuable it becomes. It's like a lucky lottery ticket that you didn't even know you had. Now, how rare is this? Well, these error coins are only found in a tiny fraction of the 2006 D pennies out there, and they can be identified by closely examining the details. If you can spot the doubled image of Lincoln, or even the date on the back, you've got yourself something special. But don't just trust your eyes. Always get it checked out by a professional, because, hey, that $2.2 million payday isn't something you want to miss. Here's the kicker, though. This isn't just a piece of US history. This penny has skyrocketed in value over the years. While most pennies are worth, well, a penny, this rare 2006 D penny can sell for upwards of $2.2 million. Yes, million with an M. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, I have a jar of pennies at home. I'm gonna be rich. Well, before you get too excited and start tossing all your change into the air, let's pump the brakes. Not every 2006 D penny is worth that kind of cash. You need the error, and it needs to be in pristine condition. We're talking about a coin that's been kept safe, away from your cereal bowl, and untouched by the world of pocket lint. And here's a fun little story from my own life. A few years ago, I found a 2006 D penny in my spare change. I thought, hey, this might be something cool. So I held on to it. I didn't think it was worth anything, because, let's be honest, how many of us really look at pennies? But then, after diving into the world of coin collecting, I started learning about rare coins like the double die 2006 D penny. Sadly, my penny was just a regular one. No error. But let me tell you, for a brief moment, I imagined myself swimming in a pool of $2.2 million dollars. Oh, the dreams I had. But I guess I'll just have to stick to my usual hobby of collecting Uh, Random things that aren't worth much, like socks that lose their pairs. Anyone else do that? Alright, so here's the bottom line. If you've got a 2006 penny, it might just be worth a closer look, especially if you think it could be a double die error. But remember, not all of them are going to make you a millionaire. So don't go selling everything else you own just to fund your coin hunting adventure. It's all about patience, knowledge, and a bit of luck. Maybe that lucky penny is just sitting in your jar waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed learning about this rare and crazy valuable penny, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button. I'll be back with more coin tips, tricks, and strategies for finding coins that could change your financial future. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. And hey, if you happen to find one of these pennies, let me know. I might just ask for a small commission, or maybe a nice lunch. I mean, who's counting when you've got $2.2 million, right? Alright, folks, imagine this. You're sitting at home, going through your spare change, and you find a penny. Just a regular, run-of-the-mill penny, right? Well, not so fast. What if I told you that penny, yes, that one in your hand right now, could be worth millions? No, it's not a joke. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because we're about to dive into the 2017 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's worth a jaw-dropping $2.3 million. But before you start running to your coin jar, let's figure out if you've got one of these hidden treasures in your pocket. So, here's the deal. The 2017 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of those rare finds that could make you a millionaire, if you know what to look for. And I know, pennies seem like the least valuable thing in the world. In fact, the penny is kinda like that friend who never shows up on time but somehow always gets invited to the party anyway, right? But here's the kicker. While most of us throw pennies into jars, toss them into parking meters, or just lose them down the couch cushions, some pennies, like this 2017 Mint Mark version, are more than just pocket change. They're valuable collector's items. And when I say valuable, I mean $2.3 million. Yeah, you heard that right. Now, you might be thinking, wait, a penny? Really? And you wouldn't be alone. I had the same reaction when I first heard about this. But let me break it down for you. These coins are special because of something super subtle, an error in the minting process. It's a small detail that makes all the difference. If you find a 2017 penny with a double die obverse, which means the design on the front is a bit off or doubled, you could be sitting on a fortune. A double die error happens when the die used to stamp the design onto the penny has an issue. Basically, the coin gets struck twice, and that's when you get a slight shift in the design. It can make Lincoln's face look a little blurry or have extra details around the words. That's what gives it the value. So, if you happen to spot one of these double die 2017 pennies, you could be holding a little gold mine. But I know what you're thinking. Okay, this sounds pretty awesome, but how do I even check for this? Well, lucky for you, it's actually pretty easy. All you need is good lighting, a magnifying glass, and a little patience. Look closely at the date, the Liberty text, and especially the motto "In God We Trust." If you see any strange doubling or extra details, that's your cue. You've just found something worth taking to a coin expert. And when you do, now, I've got to tell you, this is the kind of thing that sounds too good to be true. And honestly, when I first heard about this, I laughed it off. I mean, come on, who finds something like this? But then, I remembered something. Last year, I was digging through an old tin can of coins I had stashed away from my childhood, and guess what? I found a 1982 penny that turned out to be worth a little more than I expected. It wasn't $2.3 million, but it was a cool $20, which, okay, that's not life-changing. But it was a reminder that you just never know when something small can turn into something big. I know, $20 is a far cry from $2.3 million, but it still made me feel like a coin hunter, and that's what I love about this hobby. It's about finding that hidden gem, the one thing that could be worth way more than you ever thought. And here's the thing. This kind of stuff is happening all the time. People are finding rare coins in their pocket change, at garage sales, or in the backs of their drawers. And sometimes it's not just about money. It's about the thrill of the hunt, kind of like treasure hunting, but without the pirates. So, before you go spending all your pennies on coffee, take a second and look at them. You just might have a small fortune sitting in your pocket. And if you think your 2017 D penny might be worth something, get it checked out. But hey, don't just stop there. There are so many more coins out there that could be worth a lot more than you think. If you enjoyed this little nugget of information and want more tips on coins worth money, strategies on how to spot them, and all that good stuff, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what I have for you next time. And hey, who knows? The next time you check your pocket change, you might just find the next big thing. Have you ever dug through your old change jar and wondered if you might be sitting on a small fortune? Well, today's your lucky day because we're diving into a little penny with a big secret. And no, it's not the one you found between your couch cushions. We're talking about the 1969 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that could be worth, get this, up to $2.4 million. Yep, you heard that right, $2.4 million. But don't rush off to search through your change just yet, because finding one of these rare coins isn't as easy as picking up pennies off the ground. Stick with me, and I'll give you all the details you need, along with some pro tips on how to spot these hidden treasures. All right, let's break this down. First, the basics. The 1969 penny was issued as part of the regular series of Lincoln Memorial pennies, which were minted from 1959 until 2008. But there's a catch with the 1969 penny, and it's a rare one. Not all of them are worth a ton of money, but if you find one with a particular error, you could be looking at a potential windfall. The penny we're talking about here has the D Mint mark, meaning it was produced in Denver. But here's where things get interesting. There's a specific error that makes this penny so valuable, a die clash error that resulted in a double die on the coin's obverse, the side with Lincoln's face. This means that the engraving of Lincoln's portrait, along with the date and the words "In God We Trust," appears to be duplicated. And when I say duplicated, I don't mean just a little off. I'm talking about a noticeable doubling that you can see with the naked EYE.SO. How did this penny go from being worth 1 cent to over $2 million? Well, back in 1969, some of these errors made it out of the Denver Mint, and only a few of them survived in decent condition. They're rare, they're special, and as with most rare things in the world, people want them. And I mean, really want them. Enough to pay over $2 million for the right one. But how do you even know if your 1969 penny is the lucky one? You'll want to inspect the coin closely. Look at Abraham Lincoln's eyes and the date. If you spot any weird doubling, especially in these areas, there's a chance that you've got a high-value coin. But it's not enough just to find one. The condition of the coin matters too. The closer it is to mint condition, the more money it could potentially fetch. A worn-out coin isn't going to fetch nearly as much as one that's practically uncirculated. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was visiting a coin show with a friend of mine, and while I was busy ogling some old silver dollars, he pulled out a box of pennies from his childhood piggy bank. He's telling me how he's been collecting pennies for decades, thinking he might have a few interesting ones when he casually mentions, "I've got a 1969 penny, but it's probably nothing special." Now, I'm thinking, hold up, buddy. Let me see that. Sure enough, after some careful inspection, I found out that it had a slight doubling near the date. It wasn't a full-blown error coin, but it was interesting enough for me to pull out my phone and check what similar coins were going for. We didn't strike gold, but it did remind me how easy it is to overlook the potential in your change. So, keep your eyes peeled, folks. Before we wrap up, let me give you a few key tips. First, check your 1969 pennies, especially the ones with that D Mint mark. Look for doubling on Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the motto. Second, keep the coin's condition in mind. If it's in mint condition, that could mean big bucks. And third, if you do find one of these rare coins, make sure you get it appraised by a professional before you start daydreaming about your future. So, here's the deal. If you've learned something today, or if you're just now ready to go through your change like a coin hunting expert, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the family. We're here to give you all the inside tips on coins, valuable finds, and the best strategies to grow your collection or your fortune. You never know when that next $2.4 million penny might be hiding in plain sight. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video where we'll talk about even more coins that are worth way more than you might think. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, penny? Worth $2.5 million? That's gotta be a joke. Hold on, because you're in for a real surprise. Stick around, because today we're diving into a coin that has shocked collectors, turned heads, and could even make you a fortune. If you happen to have one in your pocket right now, yep, we're talking about the 1998 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. No joke, this little piece of change could have a value that'll make your jaw drop. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's see if you're holding on to something that's worth more than just loose change. All right, let's start with the basics. You've probably got a jar or a drawer full of pennies that you've just tossed in there over the years, right? I know I do. I'm talking about those pennies that fall out of your pockets, the ones you find stuck to the bottom of your purse, or the ones you collect because you can't bring yourself to throw them away. Most of those pennies aren't worth much more than a penny, right? But then, you come across one that has no mint mark. Wait, what? No mint mark? If you're wondering what the heck a mint mark is, don't worry, you're not alone. Mint marks are those little letters stamped onto coins that tell you where they were made. So, a D on a penny means it came from the Denver Mint. An S means it's from San Francisco, and if you see nothing at all, that's what makes this 1998 penny so special. The 1998 penny is supposed to have a mint mark, but some of them slipped through the cracks without one. And it turns out, those without the mint mark, they're super rare. We're talking rarer than that last slice of pizza that nobody wanted. Until someone remembers it's the last slice, and now everyone's fighting over it now, you might be asking, what's the big deal? It's just a penny, right? Well, let me tell you, this little coin has been selling for crazy amounts at auctions, some even fetching around $2.5 million. No, that's not a typo. A single penny could be worth the price of a mansion, a luxury car, or, hey, maybe a vacation to the moon if that's your thing. Let me hit you with a story here to put this all into perspective. A few years ago, I was rummaging through some old change I had in a box, thinking, yeah, these pennies will never be worth anything, but I guess I'll hang on to them for nostalgia's sake. So there I am, sorting through them like a coin hoarder, and out of nowhere, I find a 1998 penny with no mint mark. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but looking at it, I thought, this doesn't look like the others. It didn't have the D or the S, and I set it aside, totally clueless about how rare it was. Fast forward to a couple of months ago when I'm doing research for this video, and guess what? I find out that penny I thought was just another coin is worth potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, that's right. My clueless self could have been swimming in a cash pool, but instead, I just threw it back into my drawer. Always check your change. You never know when you might stumble across a hidden treasure in your pocket. So, how do you know if you have one of these elusive no mint mark pennies? Well, look closely at the date and the absence of the mint mark. These coins were minted in Philadelphia, but for some reason, a small number of them came out without the mint mark. If you've got one of these gems, it's important to take care of it. You want to store it in a safe place, maybe a coin holder or a display case. And if you're lucky enough to find one, the next step is getting it professionally graded by a coin expert to determine its true value. A penny in mint condition could be worth a lot more than its face value, especially if it's a rare error like this one. So, let's recap. The 1998 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is rare, it's valuable, and it could be hiding in your coin jar right now. Who would have thought a penny, that tiny little piece of change, could be worth more than your car or even your house? It just goes to show that you should never underestimate the power of small things. If you've got any coins lying around, it might be time to dig them out and take a closer look. Before you head out, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips and tricks for you on coins that could be worth a lot more than you think. Who knows? Maybe your next treasure hunt could be worth millions. Have you ever found a penny in your couch cushions, laughed it off, and tossed it aside, thinking it wasn't worth much? Well, buckle up, because I'm about to drop a bombshell. What if I told you that a penny, yes, a penny, could be worth over $2.6 million? That's right, folks, $2.6 million. So, you might want to check your change jar before you throw those pennies away. Stick with me, because today, we're talking about the 1981 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why this little coin is currently making waves in the numismatic world. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more crazy coin stories or tips on how you can turn your pocket change into a small fortune. All right, let's jump into this. Now, let's get into the good stuff. The 1981 no mint mark penny. Sounds like something out of a detective novel, right? The mystery of the missing mint mark. But no, this is not some fictional tale. This is the real deal. If you're not familiar, every US coin has a mint mark. The mint mark tells you which US mint facility made that particular coin. There are three main ones: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D; and San Francisco, S. However, what makes this 1981 penny so special is that some of the 1981 pennies were made without the mint mark. And no, it wasn't a design flaw or a mistake that was meant to go unnoticed. It was just a weird blip in history. A very, very rare blip, might I add. The 1981 penny was minted in Philadelphia, but the mint forgot to add the P mint mark on some of those pennies. Now, you'd think it would be an obvious error, right? Like, oops, no mint mark, let's scrap it. But nope. Some of these pennies made it into circulation and are now worth an absolute fortune. This penny doesn't just hold sentimental value. It's the kind of coin that makes serious collectors salivate. Why? Because it's rare, really rare. And I mean rare like that time you found a sock that actually matched the other sock after doing laundry. You know, a rare moment in time where everything aligns. These pennies are so rare, in fact, that one of them just sold for a mind-boggling $2.6 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A penny worth $2,600,000. You could buy a yacht, a fancy car, or even a house with that kind of money. Now, I know you're probably thinking, okay, how do I know if I've got one of these rare gems? Well, don't go ripping through every single penny in your change jar just yet. There are a few things you need to look out for. The main thing is that the penny should have no mint mark. If you see a P or a D or S anywhere on the coin, it's not the one you're looking for. You also want to check for the condition. The coin has to be in excellent shape. No major scratches, rust, or wear. Think of it like finding a perfectly kept baseball card. It's all about condition, rarity, and a little bit of luck. Now, I've got to tell you a little story about a time when I thought I'd found a mint condition penny. It was years ago, and I had just gotten into collecting. I was browsing through my change jar and found this super shiny 1981 penny. I thought, this is it. This is my ticket to the big leagues. I rushed to my local coin shop, practically skipping with excitement, only to find out that, well, it wasn't a no mint mark penny. Classic. It had the D mint mark from Denver, and while it was a nice penny, it wasn't exactly going to make me a millionaire. But hey, it was a good lesson. Don't let the shiny ones fool you. So, if you do find that elusive 1981 no mint mark penny, it could very well be worth millions, depending on its condition. But let me be real with you for a second. Finding one is like finding a needle in a haystack. If you're lucky enough to own one, congratulations. But if you're still scouring through your pennies, keep your hopes high and your magnifying glass ready. And there you have it. The 1981 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. A coin that proves that even the smallest, most unassuming things can hold extraordinary value. So, before you go tossing out your spare change, take a second to double check. Who knows? You might just have a $1 million penny sitting in your couch cushions, waiting for its big moment. How can I keep finding more coins like this? Easy. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll keep bringing you more tips and tricks on spotting rare coins that might just be worth something. From pennies to nickels, dimes, and beyond, you'll be on your way to becoming a coin expert in no time. And hey, if you found this video helpful or just loved hearing about this wild story, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Maybe they'll find a hidden treasure, too. Have you ever stumbled across a penny in your pocket and thought, hey, is this thing worth more than just a few cents? Well, let me tell you, there's a certain penny out there, one with a D mint mark, that's been sending collectors into a frenzy, and it's worth an insane amount of cash today. We're talking about a penny that could easily turn into $2.7 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, grab your magnifying glass and hang tight, because we're diving deep into the legendary 1976 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, you won't want to miss this. Cut to a close-up of the 1976 D penny under a spotlight. The camera zooms in as you explain. All right, let's rewind the clock for a second. The year is 1976. The country is celebrating its bicentennial. Everyone's rocking bell-bottoms, and disco music is on full blast. Now, the U.S. Mint, always busy making coins, churned out millions of pennies that year. But little did they know, one of those very pennies would cause a massive stir decades later. Most of the 1976 pennies are, well, just pennies. They don't have much value other than their face value, 1 cent. But if you've got one that has a D mint mark, and it was struck incorrectly, well, my friend, you might just be holding onto a gold mine, potentially worth millions. Show a graphic of a normal 1976 penny versus the rare minting error penny. Now, here's where things get interesting. This isn't your run-of-the-mill mistake. In fact, the 1976 D penny that's worth big bucks was struck with a double die obverse, meaning the image on the front of the coin, Abraham Lincoln's face, was actually stamped twice. And this doubling happened in such a way that it's unmistakable. Zoom in on a high-quality photo of the penny showing the error. Check out the doubling here. You can see the extra, blurred detail around Lincoln's face and even the lettering. This type of minting error is super rare, and when collectors find one, they lose their minds. Because that little mistake can boost its value to as much as $2.7 million. Now, before you go rating your couch cushions or checking every 1976 penny you've got, let's be clear. Finding one of these pennies isn't as easy as finding loose change in your car. But it's not impossible either. I mean, imagine casually browsing through your old coin jar and coming across this little treasure. Could you imagine? Pause for a humorous personal anecdote. Okay, here's a funny story from my own life. A few years ago, I was at a family reunion. Yep, a classic, awkward gathering. Everyone's sitting around, and I'm chatting with my uncle, who's one of those old-school coin collectors. He hands me a jar of coins, saying, "Hey, check these out." And honestly, I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go again. Another jar of old pennies. You pretend to humorously sift through the jar, exaggeratedly looking bored. Then, bam, I spot something that catches my eye. A 1976 D penny with a little extra detail on Lincoln's face. My heart skips a beat. Was this the one? Of course, it wasn't. But I'll tell you, for a second, I thought I had just struck gold. And I'll never forget that look on my uncle's face when I got all excited and started Googling like a maniac. So yeah, don't get your hopes up too high just yet, but you never know. You stand confidently in front of the desk again, holding up a normal penny. So what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're lucky enough to find a 1976 D penny with the double die error, you might just be sitting on a seriously valuable coin. And I'm not talking about a few bucks here. I'm talking millions. But remember, this is rare, and spotting the difference takes a keen eye, some patience, and maybe a little bit of luck. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm certainly going to be checking my old coins more carefully after hearing about this. And hey, if you're into hunting for valuable coins, stick around. There's always something new to discover in the world of coin collecting, and I'm here to help you along the way. So, if you want to keep learning more tips and tricks about coins that could make you rich, or just make you a little more coin smart, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's coming next. And hey, who knows? Maybe the next rare coin we discover together will be worth millions. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep those pennies. You never know when one might just be worth a fortune.